Hi there, my name's Mark, and I'm here to show you my peg collection, or if you're from North America, my clothespin collection. You may wonder why I collect clothes pegs, and there's a few reasons. One of them, I'm a mechanical engineer, and it's fascinating to see so much variety in something which has quite a simple function: holding clothes on a clothesline. Lots of people copy each other's designs, but there's a lot of very unique designs, and it's interesting to me from that point of view. The second reason I collect clothespins or clothes pegs is that I don't know anybody else who does. And I think a lot of people don't really realize the sheer variety there is out there, and what makes quite an interesting collection for some people. I once took all my clothes pegs to work and spread them out on the boardroom table for people to have a look at. And of course they had a good laugh, but then within no time at all they were actually quite fascinated with the sheer variety in the design. The third reason I collect them is that I do have some friends who suspect that I am a nutter, and this is just to confirm that fact for them. What I want to do is just go through the basic categories, and if that bores you silly, then you can just stop watching. But I do want to get into some more details about some of the design, which will be interesting for some of my viewers. So to start off, we have some very big ones. Some of those actually probably aren't clothes pegs, obviously, but the ones on the left, these ones here, are actually from places like Japan and Korea, where they would tend to, or maybe more China, where they would tend to put clothes onto a bamboo pole and stick it out the window or something like that. So it needs to have quite a big, wide grip to get around a bamboo pole. Down here we have the wooden collection, and square ones, round ones, a whole bunch of different sizes, and obviously it looks like there's a lot of duplication, and basically every wooden peg is different from every other one. But there's some interesting facts there. When I look at these ones in the middle, they're actually called gypsy pegs. I got them in the UK. And then you get these ones here which have reinforcing wire wrapped around them so they don't split. And this is the only one that I actually remember where I got it from, because it's got "from Ray and Edgar" written on it. So Ray Edgar is a good friend of ours. The other interesting thing about these pegs here is that they're very common looking ones if you've been around for a while. These ones here maybe not, because they're made of bamboo. Those ones are anyway. But this one here is quite unique. If you look at all these torsional springs, look at the way they're aligned. They all go on this angle like that. And when you look at all these plastic ones that are like that, they all go like that as well. They're all doing the same thing. The only one that's different is this one. And obviously if you turn it over, it stays the same. But that one's unique out of all the pegs that I've got that have torsional springs. Moving up here, these ones are all single piece. And that's kind of a category in itself, just made from one piece of plastic. And there's a few others as well, which are quite special, which I'll show you later on. These ones over here are unique in that they use a compression spring. Not unique, I suppose, because there's quite a lot of them, but there's an integrated plastic hinge there and a compression spring. So that makes them kind of special in that way. These ones here are a group of ones that use an extension spring. So maybe this one's a bit more visible. In there you can see that spring is actually extending as you squeeze on the padlock. I should say I do collect padlocks as well, and I've been making some videos of those. So if you're interested in seeing my padlock collection, where I do a short 1-minute clip on each design, including a lot of unique trick padlocks, just click the link, which you can see now. So these ones along here are all using springs that are basically they're kind of bending springs, really. They look like they're torsional springs, but the torsional springs are really these ones down here. So they all use the same sort of spring. Here's an example of one that's actually popped off. These ones also are the same sort of springs, but these are all actually made from a separate type of plastic, which can cope with that sort of springing. These ones here also use the same sort of spring, but they're made from metal. All these ones here. Now, they all look the same, but if you look at them in detail, you find they actually are different moldings, if nothing else. There's all sorts of novelty pegs. These ones are animals. There's a hippo, a duck, an alligator, and a dolphin. And I also have a shark up there and a dog and a couple people. Down here I have a peg which goes way back. It's a shark peg as well, but it actually is a normal peg stuck inside some rubber, and the rubber has just perished over time. But it used to work. So there's pegs that have integrated hooks on them. There's a whole bunch of decorative pegs, which I don't really collect seriously because that can just go on forever. But this one's quite fun. It's a cow, and it's even got an udder, and pretty cute. These pegs here are quite unique in that they're called hurricane pegs, and they're designed to go over the clothesline. I can't do this with one hand, but you'd stick that over the clothesline with the clothes and then hook it back, and that little knob on the end will actually hook behind the wire and stop it blowing off. So if it gets really windy, the clothes actually get tighter on the line. These two pegs, one of them's broken sadly, but they're unique in that the two halves are actually not the same molding. This right hand side you can see is different from the other side. So there's two different moldings. Who would ever do that? Almost every other peg is made the same. This is another one like that. You can maybe see before it broke that one side was different from the other. These pegs here, 1, 2, 3, are all double-sided pegs. So that if you quickly grab one out of the clothes basket, it doesn't really matter which way you shove them on the line. This is the only one I've got that's got two halves that are made from different colors. These ones are special in that they're made from one piece, but they've actually got a hinge and an integrated spring. This one is one piece as well, but these are actually kind of molded open and then reassembled closed. This peg here is a very special one. I actually wrote away for that way back before internet and got it sent to me. I'd seen it advertised, a story written about it in the Time magazine as being something that won a design award, an international design award. It actually disassembles and then clicks into place as a one-piece molding. This is a very unique peg. This one has a very unusual spring. This one is different in that it's got 3 legs, which, not symmetrical, but really just one molding. So it could belong up here with these other ones, but I've put it down there as being quite special. These here are actually, you could call them clips, a lot of them, but I stuck them in. These ones are made from solid steel or something, maybe brass, but I don't think so, and very heavy. These ones are made from aluminium sheet. Bought them in India, where they're actually bent by hand and assembled, because the cost of making a plastic mold is quite expensive. And if you make 1 million pegs and sell them, then you've kind of paid off that cost. But if you don't, and you want to get started with very little cost up front, that's the way to do it. There's some wire pegs there. These pegs here are, the one on the left is from a shower curtain and has a peg that fits underneath, so maybe not a peg. These other two you'd buy a stretchy piece of string, like a lightweight bungee cord, which might have 20 of these on them, and they're travel pegs. They don't fall off the line. You hook the line between 2 places, and then you can slip that over a piece of cloth sideways. Right, in terms of variety of size, that's my biggest peg and some of my smaller pegs. This is another one, which the blue and white one, which comes from Asia somewhere for maybe holding a duvet over a banister just so it doesn't blow away, something like that. And I think that might be it. There's some more novelty pegs here of sports people and fruit and a foot. Once again, looking at these pegs, you might think that they're all the same, but if you look at them in detail, they're actually all different. Same with these ones, very common where I come from, and yet there's all that sort of variety, and you'd wonder, why does somebody bother making a new one, and what do they think they're doing when they make that small change? Are they actually improving things at all? I wonder. This peg's quite unique in that it's basically trying to do the same as this one here. But the problem with this peg here is that if you leave it on the clothesline for a long time over a thick pair of jeans, you'll get plastic creep, and it'll open up and maybe pop off. And that's why people have actually put a steel spring on that. Still easy to just sort of push on and pull off. And you don't have to squeeze like you would normally with most pegs. You can just push it straight on. Another interesting thing about these torsional springs is that they're all just pure round ones, except for these two here, which have a little shoulder on them, which is to help the two halves of the peg stay aligned and not sort of twist relative to each other. And there's one or two of the plastic ones that are like that as well. Interesting how some pegs are relieved like this to try and keep the plastic the same thickness all over. Because if you don't, you can get a thing called plastic shrink when the plastic actually cools. So there's quite a few that use that sort of design. The problem is that if your clothesline is above a muddy bit of ground and they fall on the ground, they get clogged up with dirt. You do get these pegs that have two materials. You get the normal plastic for strength, and then you get the more rubberized insert. I don't know if it's co-molded or fitted in later on, just to give you a bit of grip. And there's many, many different sorts of designs for giving you some sort of grip where your fingers go. It just could be lines like that. Some just simply have a little knob like that to try and stop your fingers slipping off. Whole variety of designs. Here's another series with animals. It's got a monkey, a lion, and a rabbit in that one. And those two figures, I think, came out of the Weet-Bix packet or something like that. This clothes peg is unique in my collection in that it is made up from 7 pieces. You've got the two halves, which are red. You've got the black pivot. You've got a spring, and then you've got 2 pins. So why would you design a peg that's made from 7 pieces when you can get something that probably does a better job made out of 1 piece and doesn't require any assembly? Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed looking at these pegs, and I'm sure you've got a smile on your face because it is an unusual thing to collect and maybe not that interesting to you. Anyway, I hope that as you've seen them, you might have identified with 1 or 2 and remembered that those are the ones your mum used to have in her clothes basket when you were a kid. Maybe not. Anyway, thanks for watching, and do remember to have a look at my padlock collection as well if you want.